So do you know that song, "Stairway to Heaven"?
Yes,
That-
I do know
yeah,
that song.
I've heard of it. I heard about that. That's a Gregorian chant kind of thing.
You
Right?
guys are such fucking smart asses. Where is it? So there's a lyric in that song that's could be ripped right out of Carl Jung, and it goes, and as we wind on down the road, our shadows taller than our soul. There walks a lady we all know who shines white light and wants to show how everything still
turns to gold.
That's it. And if you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last. When all are one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. That is very. If you go through those lyrics, and as we wind,
Keaton, I told you we could get Jimmy to sing on a video. We were talking about doing a Christmas parody this year.
Oh, really? I would love to. And as we wind on down the road, Rob Schneider sent me a video of him singing. I'll play it for you. And as we wind on down the road, our shadows taller than our soul. Very Jungian. There walks a lady we all know who shines white light and wants to show how everything still turns to gold. That's psychic gold. And if you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last when all are one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. That was sent to me by the guy who hosts the Peniel podcast.
Watch your mouth.
So this is one of the reasons that I cannot listen to the current pop music, because I came up at a time when we really valued lyrics. That lyrics are really based in this tradition of like very elaborate poetry, and that was part of the whole experience of listening to an album, was digging into the lyrics and deciphering the meaning and the underlying thing. I mean, you can't really do that with what's being written now.
Oh, are you
There's no subtext.
There's no good song. I don't know about the kids today, but there's no good music out there, really? Did it all die with Kurt Cobain? You're telling me that the rap lyrics aren't interesting?
At its best,
Little wet ass pussy.
That's what I was thinking.
What's the subtext of that? There is it a double meaning?
Well, yes, most of it I find kind of like that. But even at its best, it's not. To me, it's not music. It's poetry. That's the kind of thing that the beatniks used to do with like a bass and a guy playing piano under it. You're reciting poetry. That's not really music. It's like a poetry slam that you're really doing with some musical accompaniment.
And that's all over?
At best.
You're saying that's all over now that we lost Celine Dion?
Yeah. Well, they've actually done studies of this.
Really?
The music that they are writing now is much less musically complex. There are a lot less changes. It doesn't travel as much. And that's because corporations completely took over the music industry. And now these people like Taylor Swift, it's a product.
Yes,
like Janis Joplin would never get a record contract today. She was too weird. She was too quirky. Now they take somebody like Taylor Swift or Katy Perry and they construct them. I mean, you could, and I think in the future you will, and some writers like William Gibson have speculated on this. You'll eventually have artificial intelligence pop stars, because you might as well. I mean, why? They're already doing it with models. They've created an AI model they're making a fortune off of.
Oh, no kidding?
Oh, yeah. And they said it's great. You don't have to deal with the temperament, with being late, with the emotional mood swings. And yeah, no, they're making a fortune with this AI model because the technology has gotten to the point that it looks photorealistic. You really can't tell the difference. So I think in the future, yeah, you'll have AI generated pop stars, because what would the difference really be between that and a Taylor Swift? You might as well just create it with an AI.
But, I mean, so you're telling me that, I mean, my favorite has got to be, Justin Bieber, but the early stuff.
Yeah.
Before
the early stuff. Before he sold out.
That's right. No, what is hot? I don't even know what's hot right now anymore. Did you? Oh, that Harry Styles?
Time Magazine named Taylor Swift Person of the Year, so I guess
yeah,
that's the big thing.
Taylor Swift is definitely having a moment.
So, but she does have talent, though, right? But she just writes things that are vapid. I don't know. I don't listen to.
Yeah, I mean,
more commercial.
She's a good she's a good pop songwriter. Like that those pop songwriters have always been among us. Like there's a certain craft to writing catchy pop tunes, and she writes catchy pop tunes. Like,
and she's an entertainer.
I think the advent of streaming, in a way, it has really made all kinds of music available to us, but in a certain sense, I think it made a narrower scope of music profitable for the record companies, because the streaming model just isn't the same as printing CDs and selling them, right? Well, like now you have to get I forget what the numbers are. I looked into this once, but like the amount of plays you have to generate on these streaming platforms to bring in money for the labels is so high that unless you are a Taylor Swift, unless it's real mass market material, it's just tough to bring in money that way. That's why now, I mean, and just generally speaking, all these bands have to tour now. Like it used to be, like in the 90s, 2000s, a band would make an album every 3 years. They'd tour with the album, and then that was it. They didn't have to keep going out on the road every year. They would make money off an album for 3 years. That's not the case anymore, except for the real stars like the Ed Sheerans and the Taylor Swifts. And they are all kind of the same in the sense that, they're good at what they do. They write catchy tunes. Ed Sheeran writes catchy tunes. But you don't get those Zeppelin type artists anymore, or like a Pink Floyd. Forget it. You would never see a new Pink Floyd.
Frank Zappa. I'll send this.
Or Zappa too, obviously. Yeah.
Frank Zappa did a really interesting interview where he talked about this, and he said, back in those days, you had the old cigar chomping guy. You had Sid there who ran the record company, and they didn't understand this music at all. They didn't really like this music, but they would say, you know what, kid? We'll do a run of 5,000, run it up the flagpole and see who salutes.
Right.
And maybe it would sell and maybe it wouldn't. He said, now you've got all these kids with music degrees that they'll hire at these record companies, and they have a very clear idea of what they want you to do and what they want you to be. And you would think that it would improve the music to have people with a background in music making these decisions, but you were actually much better off with the cigar chomping guys who didn't understand what the hell you were doing.
So you're telling me that there isn't a depth to Post Malone?
That's what I'm suggesting. I know. You got those Swifties, man. They're out there. You come for Taylor Swift, some people get really butthurt about it.
I was on a plane to Las Vegas, and half the plane was going to a Taylor Swift concert that night. And
really?
It was one of the. It turned out there was a rainstorm. We got diverted to Phoenix, and everybody missed their concert, and they were not happy. But
that's like God knows how many thousands of dollars down the drain.
I was going to see.
I was just reading an article about how, and Taylor Swift, like, she didn't just get there on merit. Her parents are very rich.
Oh, really?
They were flying her back and forth to Nashville. Her father bought a piece of the record company that first signed her.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. Oh, she totally is a trust fund kid.
I was upset because I had tickets to see Chris Angel Mind Freak. And
oh, really?
I couldn't get the app to let me sell them to someone else. And anyway, I had to eat those. Come see us do a live stand-up show. We'll be in Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Boston, Massachusetts, and we're going to Europe. Do you live in Europe? We're going to be there. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.